I moved the for loop into JavaScript, and now it's doing the thing that I expected. I still don't know exactly what was failing with the calling into Flutter, but I think it has something to do with drawing and just getting that rhythm right. So the next thing that I want to do is figure out how I can now have this as it's advancing, it can speak the thing that it's saying. And to do that, I have to get rid of this this JavaScript thing, so which is calling the move cursor logic within set interval at a fixed interval. And I don't have another call to move audio cursor. I guess I should wrap some calls, some JavaScript calls inside of Dart functions. So let's get that going. So I'll call, how about this will be a future of void, and it will be called run JavaScript. No, it'll be called move audio cursor. And it will take what? It'll take the integer. And I think that since we're since I think we can now just interpolate this integer as a string, and that will work. This should be interpolated from something that's also passed in. I don't know if I can have default arguments. Dart default arguments. So it sounds like I can pass it as a named parameter. I don't know if I always want to pass it as a named parameter. If you want to initialize a function parameter that is also a field in your class, I suggest what on earth? So there's some function, myfunc. This is looks too heavyweight. Write your default parameters inside of square brackets. I don't know if any of this is real. So I guess with named parameters, you can maybe have then you can maybe have defaults. I don't know if I want to have named parameters. I guess I will not do that. Oh, okay, and these curly braces are not required. And this shouldn't be 3 quotes now. This should be just 1. And I don't think this X is returning any value, but let's just verify that. This should not have a slash, I think. We have to make sure that these are the right kind of quote. I think that's valid. And let's find out where the JavaScript functions are defined. This, I think, just returns nothing. And I guess I don't know really, maybe await is the right thing here. I think I don't need to call await, but maybe I'll ask the AIs. If I have, suppose I have this Dart function. So is that correct, or do I need to call await print hi? So if I need to wait for something, for some asynchronous operation before printing, then I would use await, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Okay. And so we have move audio cursor, and then what's the other function? We have some other function, which is future void get text for ID, which takes some int ID, and really that's it. And I'm going to just a similar run JavaScript result. Let me say that again. A simple call to run JavaScript, except in the middle of that sentence, I realized I need to get returning result. The name of the function is, of course, different. And I'm passing in the ID string, which means I did need that thing that I deleted. Okay, here we go. Like that. And this gives some result, which is text. It's really a future string. Okay, so I can, it's going to return an object. And the description of this method claims that it will parse into a string if it's possible. I think. Maybe I hallucinated that. Okay, so I guess I can do this as string thing. All right. Now I need to figure out how can I call this TTS system, and that's largely a question about how like services work in Dart and in Flutter. So that'll take me a minute to figure out. So here's the TTS file. This is from the this is from the documentation of the Flutter TTS project. And I'm not sure that it has. So we have some service which is called Flutter TTS here. This is late bound. It provides platform specific TTS services. It has some method channel, and I'm guessing this is part of the Flutter platform doohickeys. And I get some callbacks. I don't know where to start this service to make sure that it's always running. I don't know. I guess. Well, hang on. So I don't see anything that look like, for example, Android lifecycle methods. I don't know if Flutter handles that automatically, or if there's other work that I need to do to make sure that, for example, when the Android app gets closed, the service gets unbound, and then when it comes back, the service gets rebound. All of that sort of stuff is a little bit fiddly, and it's not clear to me how Flutter handles that. What I do know is that there's this that it works as a demo. So if I don't close the app or minimize it or anything, then I can make that work, I guess. Here, what? There's some home page. I think somewhere around here is where I call, or maybe it's actually up here. Up. Okay, so my app, I guess, is the thing that has the TTS thing. Yeah, my app. Okay, and so this is just going to extend stateful widget. So we're not even, I guess you can run an arbitrary widget. Is that right? So here I'm running Lector, but what if should I just try running Lector WebView? I get no directionality widget found. So there's some stuff about scaffolding. And that's because lector WebView wraps scaffold. What if I just do without lector WebView without the demo? Okay, so that works, and it makes the WebView like slightly larger. But we have no like top bar or whatever. So I guess you can just do whatever. You can just run app on any widget. With that in mind, let's rename this My App widget into TTS demo. And I could have them one over the other. I don't want to do that. But the TTS demo is a stateful widget. The state it has, I believe, no, this is separate. So what does set state do? So set state does some printing, I guess, but mainly sets TTS state. And that seems to be the real state. Although I guess if you changed any of these things like volume or whatever, it would also call set state. Yeah, okay, so you can call set state setting volume to new volume. All of this is good. I want a more minimal version of this though. And in particular, I really just want to know what is, so the service is called something. And we have the completion handlers are just calling set state. So they're just doing the state transitions, which is causing them to redraw. Or I guess completion handler is one particular handler, but start handler is some other handler. And so if you have access to the Flutter TTS object, you can call set start handler, for example, and it will call set state on the audio thingamajiggy. And that will cause it to redraw. In my case, I don't really need it to redraw. So what is a Flutter TTS? A Flutter TTS is mainly a wrapper around method channel. And what is method channel? A named channel for communicating with platform plugins using asynchronous method calls. Okay, and so do we have anything about bindings? The default services binding default binary messenger instance is used if binary messenger is null. All right, so let's maybe look up some documentation. So this is just some blog post. Services are classes that offer specific functionality. A service is a class that uses methods that enable it to provide specialized feature, blah, 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 local, storage, service, etc. I don't know. Maybe it will work. I don't think it'll just work. Let's ask the AIs. Tell me about using services in Flutter. For example, a music player that works in the background even when the app is closed. I'll just say that. In Flutter, a service is a long-lived process that can run independently of an app's UI. It is ideal for tasks that need to continue even when the app is closed or in the background, such as music playing, location tracking, or file downloads. You'll primarily use the audio service package. This package provides a robust foundation for managing media playback in the background. And okay, so you have some audio service. You create an audio handler, which sets the player to the audio player, and you start the audio service somewhere. I don't know where you call that, but I guess when you're initializing your app. Implement background task entry point. This function is called when the service is started in the background. Handle audio events and controls. So if you get play, you do some play stuff, and you can create a notification. And then there's some stuff about battery optimization. I'm not sure this is correct, but I'll look up background task entry point. Here we go. This is what I was not finding before. Background processes. Have you ever wanted to execute Dart code in the background, even if your app wasn't the currently active app? Yes, I have. The mechanism for this feature involves setting up an isolate. Isolates are Dart's model for multi-threading. Though an isolate differs from conventional thread in that it doesn't share memory with the main program. You'll set up your isolate for background execution using callbacks and a callback dispatcher. Additionally, the Work Manager plugin enables persistent background processing that keeps tasks scheduled through app restarts and system reboots. And then it links to some Medium article, which I guess I might as well read. The Flutter Work Manager is from, I guess, the Flutter community. It's a wrapper around Android's Work Manager. So is this just some blog post really, or is this part of the official guidance? Seems to be part of the real website. Okay. So it tells me to set up an isolate, and it links me to a package, but is there a next step here? There's this background fetch thing. There's Work Manager. There's background task as a Flutter package. I could look at this. I could take a look at this code. Let's look at background task. Enables developers to continue processing even when the application transitions to the background. We have created a package that allows processing to continue using location updates. Location updates. So somewhere, maybe lib probably. We have types, a status event type, start, stop, updated, error, permission, and then a callback dispatcher. And we're using method channels. We have this widgets Flutter binding thing. And we're just looking at the call method and doing dispatch based on it. And then a background task has a method channel, a BG event channel. BG is what? Maybe background, status event channel. So we have 3 channels. One is the method channel that I think is built into Dart. And then the other 2, I guess, are for this library, maybe to communicate things like status, including presumably errors and other events that they care about for modeling their life cycle. All Dart code runs in isolates, which are similar to threads, but have their own isolated memory. They do not share state in any way and can only communicate by messaging. So these are essentially RPC services. So the event loop processes events. So there's each isolate has its own memory and its own event loop. The event loop processes events in the order that they were added to an event queue. So I guess messages are queued and then they're processed in order, and the queue is not shared between isolates, which makes sense because the isolates don't share memory. And the following shows an example event queue with 3 events waiting to be processed. So here's the main isolate, and I guess this is the event loop. We have repaint, process tap, repaint. For smooth rendering, Flutter adds a paint frame event to the event queue every 60 times a second for a 60 Hz device. If these events aren't processed on time, the application experiences UI jank. Or worse, becomes unresponsive altogether. Whenever a process can't be completed in a frame gap, the time between 2 frames, it's a good idea to offload the work to another isolate to ensure that the main isolate can produce 60 frames a second. So I guess this is supposed to be the main isolate. The only hard rule for when you should use isolates, and that's when large computations are causing your Flutter application to experience UI jank. Okay. And then there's message passing. Dart's isolates are an implementation of the actor model. They can only communicate with each other by message passing, which is done with port objects. When messages are passed between each other, they are generally copied from the sending isolate to the receiving isolate. That means that any value passed to an isolate, even if mutated on that isolate, doesn't change the value on the original isolate. And the only objects that aren't copied are immutable objects that can't be changed anyway. All right. You can have short-lived isolates, calling isolate run. This spawns an isolate, passes a callback to the spawned isolate to start some computation, returns a value from the computation, and then shuts the isolate down when the computation is complete. And you can have stateful, long-lived isolates. And you can do this by calling isolate spawn, or rather, so the API is we have spawn and exit, receive port, and send. And here's the section on using platform plugins and isolates. So this is calling them background isolates, but is that the first time? So there's this thing about parsing JSON in the background. Okay. These long-lived isolates are colloquially known as background workers. They're useful when you have a specific process that either needs to be run repeatedly, or you have a process that runs over a period of time and needs to yield many return values to the main isolate. Or you might use Worker Manager to manage long-lived isolates. Okay, so it sounds like Worker Manager is just a nice convenience layer over using the isolates directly. And then this is about setting up receive and send ports. They're similar to streams, in which the stream controller or sink is created in one isolate and the listener is set up in another isolate. Okay. So platform channel isolates use the background isolate binary messenger API. Okay, so I don't think I need the platform ones, although maybe I do. Hopefully I don't. There's also an isolate name server class. Okay. All right, and then Worker Manager is a powerful, easy-to-use library that helps you efficiently manage CPU-intensive tasks in your Flutter application. It offers several advantages over traditional async programming or the built-in compute method. So this was published 43 days ago. It has 95% popularity. That seems good. It has a dynamic spawn flag. So what does an example look like? We've got some stateless widget, blah, 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 material app. We have a compute task run, which is a variable and set to 0. And it's doing some Fibonacci calculation. And the text is being set to the, I guess, string value of compute task run. And here are the Fibonacci computations. And then we have a button that says run executor. And it's going to call work manager execute, passing it in the fib of 43. Then adding to execute executor results. I'm guessing that this executor results is this is taking place in the main isolate, and it's a single list. So I don't know how they handle like different isolates trying to access the list at the same time. I don't know if these execute in parallel. This seems like either this can possibly result in out of order stuff, or it must run serially. Unless, I guess, maybe because it's well, yeah, I don't know. And then we have this run compute thing, which we'll call fib compute on 43. I don't know why we're iterating over 100 things. So we're calling fib compute of 43, right? So I guess fib compute, well, I'm not sure. I don't know if this is supposed to have like memoization. Okay. I don't know what any of that means. How about we just, I mean, I do know what it means. I'm not sure that I'm willing to invest in that third party library yet. So maybe we'll try to do it with, maybe we'll try to do it with just the standard UI, the standard API. Okay, so I want to try one more time to see if I can find a blog post. What's the right general thing to call them? Background isolates, maybe? Stateful isolates. Isolate spawn. Okay, so Flutter, background, Android lifecycle, isolates. I think this is the thing I already just looked at. So how does this work through app restarts and system reboots? Enables persistent background processing. So I guess it must persist somewhere. Oh, this is a different thing. This is Flutter Work Manager. What was I looking at? I had linked to it from somewhere, I thought. Okay, so this is 99% popularity. It's a wrapper around Android's Work Manager, okay? So it has an example that like a simple periodic 1 hour task. This is maybe some URL. I guess the name of the task perhaps, or a task key. And we have this callback dispatcher. And when we call work manager execute task on some task and input data, then we switch on the task and do different things. So if it's a simple task key, then we're going to get the shared preferences. We will set test to true. And say that we got a Boolean from tests, from prefs. So I guess it's just using preferences to store information about the task. We have this work manager initialize passing in the callback dispatcher, whether it's in debug mode. You can register a one-off task. Passing in simple task key twice, I don't know why, and with some input data. Okay, I think this is maybe more than I need, although that looks like a better library overall. What I don't know is like, so the isolates are going to run only as long as the Flutter runtime is up, right? So do I know that phones are not going to kill the Flutter runtime? I suppose that under the hood, it's I don't know. I guess I just don't know. And so let's just see what we can do. Let's see what we can see, like the bear that went over the mountain. We can certainly grab the text-to-speech system, and let's just copy this. Is there an easy way to copy? Okay, so we'll just do some file renaming. And here we'll just grab, I guess, a lot of this stuff and then delete almost everything, such as all of this stuff. We can, I guess what we can do is we can take the WebView and just add a TTS thing there, right? So we're keeping a reference to engine and voice. Do I need to pass these somewhere? Let's just get rid of this whole file now. So we're just printing the engine. We're not using it anywhere. We just get it. It's a variable, and we ignore it. And then we're going to set volume, set speech rate, set pitch, and just call Flutter TTS speak. Okay, so let's see if that works. I certainly didn't hear anything. Did I not call? I think I did call this method in the TTS. Maybe the volume is 0. So set speech rate from 0.0 is slowest to 1.0 is fastest. Let's set it to 0.8. Let's set pitch to whatever the default is. 1 is default. And I assume, volume is 1 is the loudest. Okay, so let's try that. And I guess I'm not calling any of the run things. So that would be a problem. Okay, so I heard that. Let me see if I can play it through OBS here. How do I get rid of? There we go.
Hello.
All right, so that said hello. I think that was maybe too loud.
Hello.
All right, so that said hello. I think that was maybe too loud. Okay, so it can say hello, and now
Oh.
Whoa, whoa. So it says, hello, let's see if we can get it to speak everything that's on the page. And it did not like when I ran things in a loop from Flutter. But let's see if this will be slow enough for it to run in a loop. So what I want to do is, I guess, after calling init TTS, I don't want to do it there. So where do we call define? So init platform state. Load HTML file. Let's call load HTML file here, just so it's clearer where that happens. Let's also make it an underscore method. It's really a temporary method or a debug method. It would be nicer if I named it a way that it was obvious to me that that was the case. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just add a debug at the end. Init TTS is also a debug thing because I don't think I don't think the TTS necessarily needs to be tightly coupled to the widget, but we'll move it later. And then where do I call define JS functions? This should definitely also be an underscore method. What is Shift F6? I'm not going to do that. But where is this called? Okay, so that's here when we create the navigation delegate. So let's grab this and see if we can extract the method. Okay, well, we will take this. I think it seems reasonable to me to add the JavaScript channel in init platform state. This, though, seems to be its own concern. And this is a debug thing. So maybe we can now extract this as a method. So Gemini can suggest improvements. I hadn't seen that before. Wait a minute. No, this is not. This is something we actually want to do. Okay, that's fine. Okay, and then what? So we init TTS debug, and then we'll start the start TTS loop debug. And what is this going to do? I'm not sure. It should be async, I believe. And we are going to iterate. So for some I starting at 0. We will get the text for the ID and then speak it, and then we will move the audio cursor. And before we get the text for ID, we're going to check the status of functions ready completer. Is there one that, well, I guess this is just some function? No? So I want to wait on completion. I still don't know. So we'll look up Dart completer. Wait. The completer class. So is completed returns a bool as opposed to a like future of bool. I guess that wouldn't make any sense. So I'll just ask Dart. Oh wait. So it says you can use the await keyword. Await completer.future. I guess the completer just has a reference to the future, and it's called future. Okay, cool. That's simple enough. And then when we get it back, we'll execute this for loop. I don't know why it's objecting to this. Maybe it needs to be wrapped in some braces. Maybe it needs like a so I guess I don't need it then, right? I just need to await. So we'll just await the future. And then when we're down here, we know it's done. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, so we're going to call now what? We're going to call get text for ID on the ID. And we're going to start at 1 because that's for whatever reason. Let's start it at 0. And you know what? It's my HTML file that's wrong. And I'll make a 10 just to even it out. And we just are calling the function that gets the get text for ID. And then we are hoping that it's not null. And we have to await it, which makes sense. And then we're going to speak it. What does await speak completion do? Sets the speak's future to return on completion of the utterance. What is the alternative? Await synth completion, which sets the file's future to return on completion of the synthesize. Okay, so here's the handle method call of the Flutter TTS. It's a future of dynamic. And if you call with await speak completion true, then we create a new speech completer. We speak the text, and if we are awaiting speech completion, we're returning the speech completer's future. And if we're not awaiting speech completion, then we break. And that's handle method call. And I don't know what happens if we break and don't return anything. That's kind of weird. So I guess that possibly the reason we're doing that is because we're doing this kind of like RPC stuff, message passing. And I don't know enough about the messaging interface to know how good the types are. But handle method call is a C++ thing on Windows, I guess. Yeah, so I don't know what happens if we, it seems like maybe we don't return it. We don't return anything. So this is just some switch statement. It's not like recursive or anything. I guess we just get to the bottom and return void here. At any rate, it seems like I want to await speech completion. Okay. All right, so we've got the text down here, and we're going to speak it by calling what? Flutter TTS dot speak text. We're going to await that. No, we're going to grab a reference to the future by kicking it off, and then we are going to, I guess, while it's speaking, we're going to move the audio cursor to the same ID, setting diverge to false. And then we're going to await the text-to-speech future. And I guess that's it, right? Let's see what happens if I do that. Although I don't think I ever call start TTS loop debug, do I? Oh yeah, I do. So that does not work, and we are highlighting two things which should never happen. Oh, it should happen because I copied the class. Yeah, but I did see some sort of error here before I killed the Dart compiler. Well, let's start it again. So future object is not a subtype of string in typecast. What if I put await here? Is that syntactically acceptable? Oh, no. It's not even that. It's that let's try this. I'll see if I can cast it as a future of string. I cannot cast it as future of string. I guess I feel like having the ability to wait on the future is useful. So I guess I'll just have to cast it as a string every time I use it. I think that might be better than. Oh no. I guess I have to do it like that.
Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right. Well, that works. Okay. So what's next? I need some ability to stop and start, which means some like icons for play and pause and all that. I need to know the state that I'm managing. And that will have to go, I guess, in some stateful widget. I guess like a stateful widget on top of the web view. And I guess let's try that. I'll go ahead and do some committing of the progress that I've done so far. I don't really remember where this is. I think this is just maybe cleaning up imports. So what's the main thing here? So initial debug implementation of audio cursor logic. This should probably also contain the assets and there's probably some of this pub specs stuff also belongs there. Transitive, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no. That's not the name. That's the kind of thing it is. I don't know which of these belong. I'll just say pub spec changes. This workspace change, I think, is mainly from trying to get npm to work, but I don't think that I need it anymore. So I'm just going to delete it. And then we have the text-to-speech directory. All right, so those are all now on Garrett, and we can decide what to do next. I think that that what? I guess let's plug a little bit further along on this. I wonder what the Pocket Get Pocket Android app looks like, if they're still around. So I think the design I like is the play buttons on the bottom. I noticed there was some I know there was some Flutter bottom thingy, a bottom navigation bar. Bottom app bar. Maybe I can just take my existing app bar and pop it on the bottom somehow. So for this example, they're just using, what are they doing? They have some scaffold. An app bar automatically imply leading is false. I don't know what that means. And they have this bottom up here thing. Wait, what? I said bottom up here, but I think it just says bottom app bar. All right, so bottom app bar, that's just calling their thing. So this one has a notch. I guess that's what they're showing off. The bottom app bar class, okay, it just goes in bottom navigation bar. Fine. So is that part of app bar? It's part of scaffold. And then what can I put in it? Probably just about anything, right? Creates a bottom navigation bar, which is typically used as a scaffold's bottom navigation bar argument. The length of the items must be at least 2, and each item's icon and label must not be null. If type is null, then blah, 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 blah. Okay, so what we have on tap, which is, I guess, what happens when you maybe tap the thing. The current index, which is 0, the elevation, type, background color, icon size. Do we have children? There's the, I guess items is the thing that holds stuff. Okay. Then for an icon, I need icon dot. Do I get automatic icons or do I have to import them? So set uses material design to true to show specific icons. Icons dot favorite. Obviously ice cream. I'll just pick 2 random icons just to see what happens. This is complaining about the list not being closed somehow, or not use const. Okay. The nothing happens when you tap these. That's probably an error. Every item must have a non-null label. Okay.
Zero, one, two, three, four.
Okay, so it started rendering. Let me silence it. Okay, so I have this ice cream logo and this what logo. I guess that fast rewind. Is that different from regular rewind? So let's look what fast rewind looks like. Okay. And then we'll have play. And then we'll have fast forward. Why do I get regular forward but not fast forward? Is that because that's like the browser forward? And then we have some other options like different, like outlined. Okay. Rounded. And then sharp. I can't really see the difference at this resolution. So we'll just keep this as fast. Rewind. Let me look up material, design logos, media, or audio really. So these look like all audio ones, audio and visual. These I guess are the outlined ones. So we have skip previous. Okay, so skip is the one with a line. How noisy is it if I have skip as well? Seems like it didn't like that. I guess 3 is about all I can hold. Okay, except that when you play it, there should be, so play should switch the pause icon. And how do I want to do that? Well, let's grab these. We'll switch to Emacs. And then we'll have another one for pause. And then we can refer to them here. Except I want to know, so somewhere in the state, oh no, I said this was a stateless widget. That won't do. So the whole navigation bar, the whole app doesn't have to be stateful, but the bottom bar does. So let's maybe make another thing called bottom bar. something like that. And the wait, how am I supposed to do this? Let's see where bottom navigation bar is defined. So bottom navigation bar already extends stateful widget. So I think I could just extend that, right? No. So what I want to be able to do is when the bottom navigation bar needs to change, it just changes. And you can model that as a stateful widget. And I just don't know the right way to do that because the scaffold expects a thing of type bottom bar, or rather bottom navigation bar. And I guess it doesn't really matter if I make this into a stateful widget, does it? I'll ask the AIs again. So I have a Flutter app with a bottom navigation bar that has a play button. When you press the play button, it becomes a pause button and the icon changes. How should I model this state change? So it just is having a stateful widget with some toggle play pause, and it's using a stateful builder to build the button based on whether only is playing state. Oh, okay. So we have this navigation bar item, and in navigation bar item, we have the icon is being built by the stateful builder. I guess that seems reasonable. I don't know if I can use stateful builder Yeah, okay. So what is the, yeah. I guess it's fine to have the state at the top level. I don't really see any reason not to. So I can convert to stateful widget. Very good. So let's go back to here. We'll convert to stateful widget. And what? So the, oops. It's starting to speak again. Hush, hush. Okay, and so yeah, this, I guess this toggle method is reasonable. And then here, I'm not really sure exactly what stateful builder is supposed to look like, but we'll try that here. Stateful builder. And you need some key. So the builder, I think this is right. It's got a build context and a state setter. No. So there has to be some key. Stateful widget builder. So stateful builder creates a widget that both has state and delegates its build to a callback. And then the stateful widget builder. Oh, okay. So this is just the second argument. I guess maybe I don't need a key. So why can't this be assigned? Is that a restriction? Am I doing something fundamentally wrong, or is it a restriction on the navigation bar items? So it's not a widget. The bottom navigation bar item is not a widget, and maybe that's the problem. Is that the problem? So the icon is a widget. Presumably the navigation bar itself is a widget. Yeah. All right, well, let's do it at the widget level then. So let's see if that works. Okay, so so that works, and then we just have to have some conditional here. And what does that look like? So we'll call this is playing bar, is paused bar. I'm sure this is not at all idiomatic Dart, and this seems to object to this. Instance method, instance member cannot be accessed in an initializer. Okay, so it doesn't like that. All right, fine. So that, I believe, will work. Okay. And so now we have this top level is playing, which we can somehow figure out how to call set state on. And in fact, the way we figure it out is we have to, I have to figure out where the bottom navigation bar like callbacks go. So we have icon size, enable. So mouse cursor landscape, use legacy on tap probably. Called when one of the items is tapped. The stateful widget that creates the bottom navigation bar needs to keep track of the index of the selected bottom navigation bar item and call set state to rebuild the bottom navigation bar with the new current index. Does it? So there is a current index. Okay, so I need to let the bottom navigation bar know when the index is changed. And can I use the current? No, I can't. I was going to ask if I can use it to do the stuff I just implemented, but no. Okay. So what's going to happen when you hit like the play button is we will call set state on the existing bottom navigation bar, which I guess we'll call set state on the scaffold, the app one level up, which will create a new bottom navigation bar, which seems a little bit weird. That doesn't seem to be like the sort of thing we should be doing. So I think that I've gone down the wrong path, perhaps. Oh, okay, here's how no, never mind. So this is an example, I guess, from the Flutter website itself, and it's got some selected index and some option styles, etc. Okay. And it's setting the string here based on what you select, and the icon color changes. So, and then we have on item tapped, which is different from on tap. And we have a scaffold within app bar, and then the bottom navigation bar has an icon, etc., etc., and a current index, which is part of the bottom navigation bar, which is set to selected index, selected color. Okay, so there's just some field you can fill out to tell you what the selected color is. and what happens when on tap is called. And when it's called, you call on item tapped, which just sets the selected index. So I guess I don't want to rebuild the whole bottom navigation bar. I do just want to change the icon, which is what Gemini has suggested. This might be slightly faster in Emacs. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Okay, so we have some bottom navigation bar. And I'm not going to get like feedback on on whether this is syntactically correct. That's fine. But what is next? What's the list called? Items. Okay. Okay, so we have items. This play one will be overwritten by the stateful builder. Why is it not reverting? Come on, Emacs. Okay, so we have some icon, and this is like gives so if it's playing, we'll have the pause arrow. Otherwise, we'll have the play arrow. And we have a single label, which is play pause, is how Gemini did it. But I don't actually know what these labels are for. I kind of would like to hide them. But at any rate, I'm going to set the label depending on is playing as well. Oh no, we have to do the, oh yeah, we can't do the label inside of this. Fair enough. Wait, how did I end up here? I wanted to be here. Okay, so if is playing, we'll do that. Label doesn't go here. So that's the icon. And then the label, maybe I could just do this as a string thing. I don't know if I need a stateful builder here, but what do I know? Something like that. All right, let's see how this is going now. I can't just have foo bar baz here. I need to have the right things, which are build context and sets and state setter. And it's it doesn't like that this widget is potentially nullable. I guess, do I need to return, call return? Yeah, that was the issue. And then label seems to be happy. And then it wants me to add a const modifier there. This should be a keyword argument. It doesn't like this for some reason. It wants me to add more const. All the const, all the time. Okay, so now this is looking reasonable, although it's formatted in a crazy way. There we go. And now what? We don't have, there's nothing that happens with on tap yet. So on bottom navigation bar, there's something like current index is what? I don't know. I guess maybe this is not built for, I don't want a bottom navigation bar. I want like a bottom media bar or something. So this is suggesting the bottom navigation bar for a media bar. I don't know. Maybe we'll set this to selected underscore selected index. We'll create this as a thingy. I guess we'll set it to 1 by default. And here on tap calls on item tapped within index. Okay, and so if index equals 1, we'll say toggle play pause. And if so, we'll do switch on index. I don't know the syntax, but presumably something like this. So for rewind and rewind and fast forward, it probably would make sense to keep track of how many times the button is pressed and use that to influence the behavior. Because if somebody's like frantically pressing rewind, that's a different thing from if they press it once. So I'll call this rewind tapped. And then case 1 is going to be just toggle play pause. And case 2 is fast forward tapped. And then there will just be some error case. So this is lector WebView demo state. So we'll just make sure we have some logger. And I need to implement these methods. I don't know what's up with this. Maybe I need curly braces. And these methods won't have any arguments. And they won't have any implementation either. They will just be. Okay, so hopefully this will build. Will it though? Yeah, okay, so I can do this. I can toggle play and pause, but the actual playing and pausing doesn't actually care what's there. If I restart the app, it'll just read it, even though play is set.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So what we want to do is somewhere we have access to this web view. Yeah, the body is a const lector web view. So let's take the work that we're doing in the lector web view to initialize the text-to-speech system. Let's put that into the main file instead. Well, not all of it, because some of it has to wait for the web view to be ready. But we can have an init state. And the init TTS debug can go there. And now I need to figure out how to get how to have the web view communicate with the Flutter TTS. And one way is just to pass it in. I guess that's okay for now. I don't know if things might get thorny as we start having to worry about life cycles. It seems like they should probably communicate over a channel rather than essentially passing a pointer to this Flutter TTS object, which is late initialization anyway, which is already a little bit possibly prone to race conditions. I could make it nullable and have a method to set it. That I'm not sure that I want to do. But maybe we will do it. Maybe we will. What if I use a completer again? Will that work? Okay, and now whenever I use Flutter TTS in here, I have to make sure that it's underscored, and then I have to get the future. So I'm really using this as an optional. Okay. I have no idea whether this is a reasonable thing to do, but let's hack it together, I guess. So is it to do? Is it reasonable to use a completer as a optional you can wait on? I don't know if Dart has optionals. So there are like, there is this question mark optional. I guess that's a standard. I guess that's a full optional. Okay, so we now have this late binding Flutter TTS thing. And here, somewhere in the lecture web view, we want to give it the Flutter TTS thing. How was I envisioning doing this? I don't I don't really remember. So lecture web view is const. So we could just have a pointer to it here. Final. Although I think if I try to modify it here, it'll object, right? Oh, it's defined on the state. I guess what I can do is just have a Flutter TTS question mark like this. And then I'll just call if, and I guess we'll just skip the init TTS loop when set state is called. And now the question is, how do I call set state on this on a stateful widget? So there's notify parent, add parameter function. Okay, so child widget. Create a function for the child to call back, refresh. On parent widget, pass the parent function to the child. Is notify parent a general thing? So we have the create state function, which is going to return a lector WebView state. I think I just need I think I just need like an argument. So like a constructor. So this has init bool and I guess we have widget. So here's an example of this. This just has a constructor that has the color, and it keeps track of a child. And we can call widget.color. Okay, so I just need to put the TTS thing here. Oh, right. To be okay. So to be const, you have to be initialized. What if I just have no? It has to be nullable. Okay, that's fine. So it can't be const. This has no equal sign. That should be fine. And then this goes away, and this should be widget flutter dot text to speech, I think. Okay, so that's promising. Although, hopefully, init TTS debug is finished finished calling before we create this lector web view. Let's see if that works.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, so there's no, there's no major errors in the Dart code. But why is it speaking? I did tell it to speak. So now I need to have a way of saying that when the play button is pressed, I need to have a way of basically indicating to the child when the play button is pressed. And how do I want to do that? I can call from the parent to the child. And like toggle some variable. I could have some API like start playing, stop playing. This should all really be done by message passing of some way or another. But what if we just have this? Okay, so I have that method. I guess I can go back to where I defined the WebView here. Set this to whoops, no. Yeah, bring that back. Set this to WebView underscore. So now I have a reference to it. Although no, I haven't passed the let's late initialize this. Set it here. Now we have a reference to it. And then on toggle play paused, if we are playing, then we're going to call No. I still don't feel like I understand. I still don't understand how to get at the state object, given a reference to the widget. So the widget creates the state. So I guess I can't do this. I think I do have to do something where we're monkeying around with callbacks. And I don't want to do that at all. What I want to do is message passing. So I'm going to stop here. I have to go. And I guess tomorrow I'll take a look at implementing some stuff with channels where the widgets communicate by sending messages.